I never thought I would be the kind of person writing one of these long, rambling confessions on the internet, but my heart has been pounding for days and I can't get rid of the heaviness in my chest. I feel betrayed, angry, and honestly kind of ashamed for how much this situation has eaten me alive. It's about my family, money, and the one thing my mom left behind for me that my dad decided to treat like a spare wallet. When my mom passed away 6 years ago, I was 21. She had a small life insurance policy that she left entirely to me. Nothing huge, not like millions, but it was enough that I felt like she was still taking care of me. It was around $45,000. She had told me when I was a teenager that she wanted me to use it for school or maybe a down payment on a house one day. She was specific that it was for me, not my brother, not my dad, but me. My dad knew that too. He was the beneficiary while I was underage, but when I turned 18, he transferred it into an account with my name on it. For a while it sat there while I tried to figure out my life. I've always been the quiet, responsible one in the family. My brother, 2 years younger than me, was the golden child. He was the one my dad bragged about at barbecues, even though he didn't actually accomplish much. He dropped out of college, bounced from job to job, and spent his 20s living like a high schooler with a credit card. Meanwhile, I was grinding through classes, working part-time, and scraping by without asking anyone for help. I thought maybe, just maybe, that would finally make my dad proud. It didn't. 2 years after Mom died, I was juggling full-time work and part-time school. I had about $30,000 left of my inheritance at that point because I'd used some to cover tuition. I didn't touch the rest because I knew how easily it could disappear. Then one day my dad called me and said he needed to talk. We met at his house. My brother was there too. I thought it was going to be some kind of family check-in. Instead, my dad launched into this pitch about how my brother needed a reliable truck to start his own landscaping business. He had found this big, shiny Dodge Ram that was perfect for hauling equipment. The problem was, the dealership needed a huge down payment and a cosigner. I remember sitting there, stunned, when my dad said, "We were thinking we could use your inheritance for the down payment." He said it so casually, like it was nothing. I said no immediately. I told them Mom left that money for me, not for a truck. My brother got mad, saying I was being selfish. My dad gave me this disappointed look that made me feel like I was letting the family down. They kept pushing. I stood my ground for almost an hour, but by the end I felt so cornered and guilty that I gave in. I wrote the check for $20,000, and against my better judgment, I even co-signed. I remember driving home that night and crying so hard I had to pull over. It felt like I had betrayed my mom. Fast forward. My brother never ran a landscaping business. He worked one summer mowing lawns, then quit when it got too hot. He used the truck as his everyday ride, drove it like a toy, and racked up miles without caring about the payments. Within a year, he was behind, and because I was the co-signer, the calls came to me. I had to cover 2 payments just to protect my credit. When I begged him to sell the truck, he told me he loved it too much. My dad defended him, saying he's still figuring things out. Don't be so hard on him. That was 4 years ago. I slowly rebuilt my savings by working overtime, taking every extra shift I could, and sacrificing my social life. I managed to buy a modest 2-bedroom condo last year. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I felt proud for the first time since Mom died. I thought maybe things were finally going to get stable. Then the universe, or maybe karma, threw me back into the mess I thought I had escaped. About 6 months ago, my dad called again, but this time it wasn't a request. He said he and my brother needed a place to stay because my dad's house was being foreclosed on. He had been hiding his financial issues for years, apparently taking out loans to cover the mortgage and finally drowning in debt. My brother was still living with him and hadn't contributed a dime. I didn't want them moving in, but what was I supposed to do? They had nowhere else to go. So I said yes with conditions. They would pay rent, at least enough to cover half my mortgage and utilities. We agreed on $1,700 a month, which is honestly a steal for where I live. They reluctantly agreed. At first, I tried to make it work. I told myself it was temporary. But living with them again has reopened every wound I thought I'd healed. My dad treats my place like it's his. He rearranges my kitchen cabinets, without asking. He criticizes how I spend my weekends. He has this air of entitlement, like because he's my dad, he doesn't owe me anything. My brother is worse. He leaves dishes in the sink, eats my food, and acts like paying rent is some unbearable injustice. Every month I have to chase them for the $1,700. They complain constantly, saying I'm greedy and bleeding family dry. Last month they were 2 weeks late, and I nearly lost it. The climax of this nightmare came 2 nights ago. My brother came home drunk and started yelling about how I stole Mom's money and how he deserved the truck because he was supposed to be the man of the family. I snapped. I reminded him the truck was literally bought with my money, that Mom's inheritance was meant for me, and that he had wasted it. I told him both of them had been using me for years and that I was done being their safety net. My voice cracked, and I started crying in the middle of the living room. My dad just stood there, silent, while my brother stormed off. That was the first time in my life I saw my father look ashamed. But even then, he didn't apologize. Since that night, I've been sitting in my room, going over everything in my head. I keep replaying my mom's voice telling me she wanted me to have that money. I think about how proud she would have been to see me buy my condo, how angry she would have been if she knew what my dad and brother did. And I wonder if maybe the only way forward is to kick them out. I don't know if I have the strength to do it, but I also know I can't keep living like this. Now they're still under my roof, paying rent late, treating me like I'm the problem. I'm writing this because I feel like I've been carrying the secret for too long. People who know us see my dad and brother as charming, funny guys. They don't see how much they've drained me. I've spent years sacrificing so they can avoid consequences. I've spent years wondering if maybe I'm the selfish one. But writing this now, I realize I'm not selfish. I'm just tired. I don't know what's going to happen next. Part of me wants to give them a deadline and stick to it, even if it means watching my own father struggle. Another part of me still feels that old guilt, the voice that says family is family, no matter what. But I think I've finally hit my breaking point. I think my mom would want me to stand up for myself, even if it means standing alone. For now, all I can say is this. My father used my inheritance for my brother's truck. They live under my roof, paying $1,700 a month, and still somehow make me feel like the villain. But deep down, I know the truth. I was the one betrayed. And maybe the only way to heal is to stop letting them live off of me, once and for all.